One night, Muller asked if he could go with him. Beta at first refused. Muller was still very much the playboy, but inside he felt empty and miserable. Beta reluctantly took him along. He was sure he'd hate it.
George Muller, welcome here. Please have a seat. Thank you. Friends, we have a guest tonight here at our Bible study, a friend of Beta. George Muller is a student at the university here in Halle, and he's training for the ministry, I believe. May I suggest that we continue our Bible studies from last week and turn to 1 John 4. And I will read from verse 7 on, and if somebody else then could continue from verse 13. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is how God showed his love among us.
Muller loved it. It was so completely different from the harsh, legalistic and heavy religion he'd been brought up in. These people obviously had something he had never experienced, something which he now realized he'd been longing for all his life. For the first time, he was really happy.
This is what I have been longing for. All our worldly pleasures are as nothing compared to this.
It was a turning point in Muller's life. He now knew for the very first time the joy and relief of being forgiven and what it meant to really trust in Christ. He was on the threshold of a brand new life, and little did he know where it would lead. Muller wanted to share his life-changing experience with others, and his heart naturally warmed to mission work. But for his father, John Frederick, this was a bitter disappointment. Gone were the prospects of being cared for by his clergyman's son. As a result, he felt he could no longer let his father pay his university fees or his living costs. But he had 2 more years to go, and no money. It was a predicament he would know all too well in the years to come. And the solution was a foretaste of what he experienced again and again. God provided. There was no miracle, no lights from heaven, just a God-given opportunity to teach German to some American students who paid him very well. Driven by his new zeal, Muller spent all his spare time studying the Bible and having meetings in his room. His tutor, Professor Tolok, arranged for him to preach in many of the local churches, and he soon gained something of a reputation. But he also had a dream that one day he could become a missionary. So when the professor recommended him to the British-based Continental Society for their work in Bucharest, he thought that his dream was about to become a reality. But war broke out between Turkey and Russia just as he was about to leave, putting an end to his plans. But it didn't put an end to God's plans for his young servant.